Alright everybody, while you're sitting here looking at this pan, empty pan, I'm going to tell you what's going on. So I'm going to do a journal. Some might call it a junk journal. Some might say no, it can't be a junk journal. So I'm going to call it an art journal. And so it's going to be kind of a series of doing this journal, putting together and all of that. And so today, being Mixed Media Monday, I wanted to give my papers, the white papers that I'm going to be using, a look of or feel or whatever, the idea that they're old. And one of the things that I see a lot of the journaling people do is they use coffee and they dye it with coffee. So we're going to try, and I've got instant coffee here that I made. To me, it's strong. I'm not a coffee person. I don't even like the smell of coffee. So this is a tough thing for me. So I'm going to just pour some of this in here. I don't want the paper to be overdone, right? So and my thing is you put some color on. If it's not enough, then you can add more. But if you put too much on, it's harder to take it away. The other thing is, coffee stains, right? And I don't want everything all stained up. So, another thing is that water does something to paper, right? It changes the paper a little bit. And I don't know, I've never done this. And honestly, I kept seeing them say to do this, that they do this, that they color the paper using coffee. But I honestly didn't see any videos of them doing it. So I'm not real sure that this is the right way, but I know that the whole paper is wet. And so this is what we're going to do is stick it in the water, the coffee water. The brown, maybe it needs to be, I don't see any brown on this, and maybe that's not good. And like I said, I don't want everything all coffee stained up. So I'm going to be very careful with this stuff. Or try to be, oh, it ripped. So right off the bat, not good. Oh, it ripped. So there we go. Don't leave it in so long. So that's number one. Take it and dip it and get it out, I guess. Take it, dip it, get it out. I didn't get the whole thing wet. Does the whole thing need to get wet? I don't know. Okay, these ones I'm doing right now, these are regular, just regular coffee paper, coffee paper. Regular copy paper. Flip that. There's some dry spots on there. I don't know if that matters. Okay, this is gonna slurp up the water. This is watercolor paper. It should just slurp it right in. And I'm not gonna do that many of these ones because my thought is this: I want some of the papers to be watercolor paper, some of it to be like the marker paper, but at the same time, I can always attach to the regular pages watercolor paper or marker paper, right? I can make the embellishment thingy or whatever and make it that. So it really doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot to the watercolor, but we don't know until we do it, right? So I think I got 3 watercolors, 3 markers, because I'm thinking that I'm going to be doing 3 signatures. Most of the videos I saw, they either did 3 or 5 signatures. And what a signature is, just in case you don't know, and most of you probably know more about this than I do, but a signature, okay, this is the marker paper. And this is a cardstock instead of paper, so this is probably going to take better. It's not going to get so twisted or whatever you want to call it. Okay, so a signature is where they take the grouping of paper and kind of put them together, and it's usually 10 to 15 sheets of paper folded in half, and then they connect it in that half spot and add it to the book. And there's usually 3 to 5 of those done. And 3 to 5 of those with 10 to 15 sheets usually will make up. So each one of these, each page here, each one of these papers is basically going to make 4 pages, because it's going to be folded in half, which will be 2, but then you have the 2 sides of each one. So it comes out 4. I'm thinking these are coming out too light. I'm going to add more coffee. I can always get more coffee. Oh, see, to me it just stinks. I'm sorry. I know most of you love your coffee. I know that. But I am not a coffee lover. What we do for our craft, right? This is much better. I'm liking this better already now. I don't know. I would think, is it going to dry lighter or darker? If it dries darker, then it might be too dark. If it dries lighter, then it's going to be good. If it dries the same, it's good. Maybe a little too dark now. You know what I mean? But I'm just going to keep sticking these papers in here. And I tell you what we can do is dry one off. You know? Let me do that. Oh, the smell. Oh, the coffee. It is Folgers Instant. If anybody's interested. Folgers Instant. Ooh. Me and my dad always, when I was growing up, that's what he drank. Folgers Instant. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yep. And my dad would drink coffee all day long. Yeah, he didn't need the water to be hot. Just get it hot out of the faucet. He wouldn't wait. He needed his coffee right now. Okay. Maybe that's why I don't like, I don't know. When I was young, my stepmom's from Mexico. Coffee was a big thing down there back then, and especially if it was cold. And so as a kid, I would go down there with the relatives and stuff, and oh, I loved coffee. And I don't know if it's because their coffee's different or what. I don't know why now I can't drink coffee when I used to really, really like it back then. So I don't know what difference it is. Wow. Okay. So I'm going to dry this with my dryer. So if it's too loud, please plug your ears. I'm going to try it now. What do y'all think of this so far? I got some opinions. So can you see the color is getting light? It's lightening. Okay, first of all, the color is getting lighter. And, oh, that's okay. I don't have a problem with the color getting lighter. But that means the real light stuff down there, it's not going to have much color. The other thing I'm finding that I'm thinking is this is supposed to look aged. This does not look aged, it just looks tan. It does not have an old look to it, it just looks like tan paper. So this is not the look I'm going for. Not what I want. I don't mind it, but it is not the look I wanted. So, the other thing I'm thinking is I probably should not have it all piled up on top of itself, because it could turn into a mush of paper and then I'll end up with a block of paper. I don't know, but I am concerned about that also. So I do want to let these dry by themselves instead of trying to dry it out and seeing if the color stays better if it dries out by itself. So I'm just going to have to string these around, but I do need to get some of the liquid off because, excuse my reach, oops, it's ripping. And I don't want it to rip, so I want it to look old but not ripped, not torn up. And of course I will pick. There's just got to be another way to do this. So, see how this is sticking and falling apart. That's what I'm afraid is going to happen if I keep it all together. So, that's why I'm saying I probably shouldn't leave it stacked up on itself. That's probably not a good idea. Okay. This needs to go someplace. Have everything else be coffee stained, and everything else is going to have a little coffee stain color to it. So what I need really is to figure out a way to give this a coffee look without actually putting it all the way in the coffee, because it's too uniform. The color's too uniform. Whew, man, the coffee is strong smelling. I'm telling you, it is strong smelling. I'm just setting these papers down anywhere I can find a spot. You know what might be a good thing is, okay, this is the watercolor, I believe, and if I maybe pat it like that, that'll give it a spotty look anyways. But that's not really, okay, let's try this. Let's try doing something different with the watercolor, and if we can get that to work, let's just take this coffee here, which I think is dark, But maybe it's not. That's straight there, so maybe I didn't make it that dark. Maybe if I just take it and splatter it on like this and let it get down in there, it might just be like watercolor, you know, where you just really aren't. It's going to be lighter when it dries, like watercolor. And it's supposed to be, it's not supposed to be a jump, you know, what's the word I'm trying to think of? It's not supposed to be in your face, look what I did thing anyways. It's really supposed to be the paper aged kind of thing. So I'm not too worried about it with the watercolor, because I figure with that we'll be putting watercolors on it, you know. But I did want to have some of it have some of the browning on it. Just cause. What I'm thinking is this other paper, what I might do is take this paper, and then of course this would take a few tries, but if I take this paper and put the other paper on top of it, so then I'm just doing it to some of the paper, and then I can see it took some of that wet, you know, do this and let it get some of that wet. Will that work? See, it's changed with the watercolor paper. It is a different little bit of color. Not a lot. So I have to think about this. What? Probably should have watched videos on this. I'm gonna say that this is watercolor. I kind of wanted to check out the, maybe those weren't the watercolor. Maybe these are the marker paper. So just do this and this and let it dry and see what I get. Let it dry, see what I get out of it. Here's the watercolor paper. That was the marker paper. So here's the watercolor paper. And the watercolor paper definitely seems to be holding the color better, right? It should hold the water better too. It's strong. It is strong. See, it just has an aged look, and that's what it's supposed to do. But you want it to look old too, so I don't know what my answer is here to this. These are gonna work for drying them, and we can come back later and look and see but this is gonna work to dry it. So especially these watercolors, these other papers are barely getting wet. They are, but not a lot. So the watercolor paper always holds the water better. That's the thing about watercolor paper, right? So it is strong smelling stuff. That coffee. Okay. Oops. What I'm gonna probably do is, now this looks like, it looks like newsprint, which that's all right, but that is not the look I was going for. So, maybe it won't dry, so, let me stack it up. Maybe it'll dry a little curvy. I don't know. I should have probably watched videos on this first. I don't know why, but I thought this would be the easy part. You would think that this would be the easy part, right? I would have thought this was going to be the easy part. Oh, you just stick it in some coffee and pull it out, and you'll have some coffee stained paper. And it's coffee stained. It's stained, all of it, other than the stuff that I'm putting in the middles. But that's might be the way I continue to do this, because I kind of like that maybe these aren't going to look so, they might actually have more of a good feel to them, if that makes sense. Like, they won't be so neat looking. Probably makes not one bit of sense. So this would go here. And now, what I think I might do, instead of putting it in the pan like that, I think I might say, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get 2 of them. I'm going to try doing it this way. Getting 2 of them. Let me put one down. Let me put one down. I need more down, more paper towels down. I'm already going through quite a few paper towels here. And maybe I'll just brush it and squiggle it on so it's maybe not quite so uniform looking. What I need is a bigger brush for this. Oh, I do have a bigger brush. I wonder if it'll work. And it's not quite as wet doing it this way, so we'll see what we think. It just might have more of the look I'm looking for, though. It's drying quick. It looks like it's absorbing that coffee really fast. This just might be a better way to do it. Now, like I said, I don't know. I am guessing at this, so please hold off and wait and see how this turns out before you go trying it, just in case it's not going to work. Look at the other paper. Nice. I'm liking this look much better. And guess what? I don't need to do both sides. Only need to do one side. And I'm going to take this, I'm going to put this on this clean sheet over here. because I've got this piled here, white and dyed, and white and dyed, and white and dyed. So I'm going to take these and just flip these over this way, and I'm going to come in with 2 more. In this one, I'm going to try this lighter where I added the water. It wasn't straight. The coffee wasn't straight. Coffee, it was this lighter color here. I'm going to, well, I can set that right on top of there. So I don't want to spill this. And let's see what happens if we brush on this lighter color, because this other color is pretty dark. And so this lighter color just seems really light. So maybe I just didn't find the right color. Maybe there's a better color for this. Although when they were dried, the ones that I used this on seemed perfectly fine. Now another thing that I can do is get this wet with this and come in and add a little bit of the darker in some spots, you know. Uh-oh, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to grab more of this lighter coffee color over here for that. So this is going to be good. This is going to be good. It's just seeing how it dries is going to matter. Now, let me try something else too. Let me see what happens if I flip this over, how it looks on the other side. Okay. I am happy with that. So I'm going to put these 2 pages down here now. And now I want to try something different. Let me put this down. These are the last 2 pages I have with me. I'm going to crinkle it up. I'm going to crinkle this one up. See, paper, once it's been crinkled, kind of likes to stay that way. And so when I get it wet, it might not like, it might want to flatten itself out. So, where did that piece of paper come from? Oh, this is falling to shreds. The one I've been dipping. So I'm not going to do that. Yeah, because that's falling apart. That's okay. I don't even know how many of those papers I grabbed. I just grabbed them. I'm sure I'm going to need more. But I wasn't so sure that I want all my white pages stained. I want to have different looks. That was kind of what I was thinking. So, there. This one is the crunch dip one. Let's see how that dries and turns out. This is the one that's falling apart. And I'm not going to be able to save that. I guess we learned something there. Do not crinkle one up and think you're going to use it for that. Let's see. Very white. This is the one that was with the watercolor. And it's just barely got that old color to it. Now it's wet. I could smush it. A watercolor paper. I don't want them all wrinkled either, So some wrinkled, some not, some dyed, some not. I want to have a variety of pages to go to. That's why I'm not so worried about some of these in-between pages not being dyed, because I figured I can always come back to them. And I might get this one pretty wet and then stick it on top of this watercolor paper and see what happens with it. And let me get a little bit of the dark and come in and get this light on here. Light. And come in. Now some people will just go ahead and just dry them all. I want to see what happens when they dry themselves, you know. So this is pretty wet, and I'm going to stick it, I want to stick it this side where it's pretty wet on the top. I should have maybe just done it on top of the watercolor paper. Ugh. Now let's see what it does. I'll show you. Try to get it over here without spilling anything. So it's on top of the watercolor paper here. So it's got a lot of, and it should come through. The water should come through. And we can make sure it comes through. How about that? We'll just add a bunch. And see what effect we get with this. We have puddles. And we especially want to get edges, because actually edges age fastest, don't they usually, right? And look, and I've got all these white edges sticking out here. So let's just go ahead, and even though I don't like the fact that they're layered together, let's fix these edges. And let's brown up some edges here. Yeah. Because the edges will brown before everything else. Okay. I am I've no idea. 35 minutes we've been working on this, so that's not too long. I don't like the videos to be like over 45 minutes. I feel like y'all get tired of watching them. But let's see some of the pages if they've... No, this one's not drying yet. It's still damp. This is still damp. What about this one? This is the one we started to dry with the dryer, with the heat tool. And it's still a little damp too, but yeah. This one's barely got anything. So that can go here now, because this one also barely has anything. Do you know what our weather here is here in Vegas right now? Ugh. Horrible rain. So these ones gotta have something done, is what I'm setting them separate for. This, I don't know if this is watercolor or marker. It looks like it might be that marker when I did that too. But then it's awful thick. But it doesn't have the texture like the watercolor over here does. Let's see. So this one's pretty. Nothing This one is one of the markers, I believe. And it just barely has color. Look, see, that's what it's supposed to do. Like, give it an odd look. So let's leave this alone for now. But see, that water is coming through and leaving puddles and doing things. Okay. Since that other one's already getting some puddles, why not do something here? All right. So I am going to let these pages dry. I'm going to set all of them in a pile, which I didn't want to do at first, right? But now I don't have a problem with it. They're mostly dry and I'm not so worried about them turning into a pile of mush. And I'm going to set them in their own spot. I'm going to take this paper towel and flip it over here. And that way, if any of it wants to come out, it'll go back on the paper. Back on the paper. There we go. And I'm going to set this just on a shelf like this. Ooh, the coffee is so strong. I can't wait to get rid of that. Oh. Yeah. All right. So I'll come back tomorrow and show what these pages look like. If it worked, which ones worked, which ones didn't, any of that stuff. Okay. So that's it, and then I'll get more pages together and hopefully we can start making our signatures tomorrow. Will we do signatures tomorrow? Or no. We might put them all together, but I don't think we'll be doing any binding or anything like that tomorrow. We'll just be getting papers together. So, all right, everybody. If you like my videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you join me again. God bless.